Welcome, everyone, to the October 14th, 2025 City of Broussard Council meeting. Please remember to adjust your microphones and speak into them so you can be heard clearly on our broadcast. If anyone from the audience would like to make a comment on an item listed on our agenda, please fill out a blue card located near the entrance door and turn it into our city clerk. Each speaker will be given a maximum of 3 minutes. Please rise for the pledge.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please welcome Pastor.
Let's pray together. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this wonderful time to gather here for a beautiful day, and just we give you glory. And Father, we pray that tonight you will give a wisdom and discernment for every council member, for each citizen here, and each person that has a part, that will make wise choices and decisions that's best for this community and for your kingdom. We pray for all your blessings upon everyone here. May your kingdom come and your will be done in Jesus' name. Amen.
Item 2.1, acceptance of the minutes of the September 23rd, 2025 council meeting. Do we have a motion to accept? The meetings were included in the packet. Kelly, do we have any public comment?
No public comment.
Council discussion?
Questions? District 1? Yes. District 2?
Yes.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 5?
Yes.
District 6?
Yay.
At large? Motion approved.
Under other business, item 3.1, Mr. Carl Rasco from Pavement Management Systems to give the council a presentation. Welcome, Mr. Carl.
Hey, good evening. As the mayor said, we're going to talk a little bit about a pavement management system that was performed for the city so we've introduced it already. I have a disclaimer though before I start, a little bit of a disclaimer. I was told I had 30 minutes and now I know I have 15 minutes, and so it's going to be quick. I prepared the slide deck mostly for the record. So if you want to look at it later, most of the slides are annotated. You can come back and take a look at what we missed. A few months ago, we met with some of the city leaders, some of them sitting up here, and we were asked these questions. I'll let you read them while I summarize it. Basically, it was, what do we do with our street system? How do we fix our roads, and how much is it going to cost us? And the key to that at the bottom right was it was imperative that we spend the funds or set up a program that was most cost effective to give you the most bang for your buck, to make you stretch your dollars more. And so we did. We came up with a plan. We did a pavement condition assessment. We looked at ride quality. People are concerned about ride all the time. And we looked at surface condition. We said, okay, as long as we're out there, we're going to ride the roads anyway. We're going to ride them with this fancy little van that you see in the bottom right. Why don't we take images of the entire 360 images and come back and give you information on the other transportation assets, guide rails, signs, street striping, and that sort of thing. And so you said yes. And so you see that fancy little camera on the back is a 360 camera. You can think of it like Google Street View, except on steroids. It's much higher resolution, much faster camera. And so we did, and we also have now extracted most of those features, and they're available on maps. All the deliverables came back to the city on maps, which they have access to and know how to use. I'm not advancing. Okay, I have more time. So I'll introduce the next slide before we get to it. We looked at two measures of performance. We looked at surface condition and ride quality. For the surface condition, we measured that using the pavement condition index. Pavement condition index is a scale of 0 to 100, and you can think of it sort of like an exam in school. Your teacher would hand down an exam, it had 100 on it at that time, and every question you got wrong counted off some points, right? So our pavements are the same way. Our pavements have some defects on them, some damages, and so we subtract from 100 the damage effect of those kinds of defects. It is a standard procedure. It is a standard procedure developed by the Corps of Engineers, been in use since the late 70s, and now adopted by American Public Works Association. And so every road has a surface condition score from 0 to 100. The other performance measure that we made was ride quality. And for that measure, we used the International Roughness Index, a measure of the International Roughness Index. It was developed in the 1980s in Brazil through an international study, and it's pretty much a gold standard for ride quality. We measure the distance from the vehicle to the road using those fancy lasers on the right side, those wide footprint military grade lasers. And inside the box there, that measures the vehicle response. Inside those white boxes, there are accelerometers, and they measure the human response to roughness. And so the IRI is a score. It's a score from whatever to whatever. It's not a scale, at least not yet. Okay, the bottom left piece of this slide is what's important to us. The range of IRI in Broussard was from 35 to 490. It's a range. What we did was take that range, apply a mathematical concept of normalization, and we normalized that to a scale of 0 to 100 so we could use it with the PCI. So we have a ride quality index and a score from 0 to 100, and a PCI score from 0 to 100. Sometimes it's helpful to look at both of them. All the time it is. Sometimes we might have a high RQI or ride quality and a low pavement condition, and together they tell us what to do with the road. What do we see in your data for the PCIs? We saw very good, and I'm not going to spend much time here. And for the ride quality, they were also quite good. Most people, we can't really work with two numbers generally at the same time. And so we try and combine those to a composite index. And that's what this slide shows us, is a composite index of what was here in the city. And it's discussions with Mel and others. We came up with a weighted average of basically the 70% on the surface condition and 30% on the ride. What that says is that the city believes that surface condition or what the pavement looks like is worth more than what the pavement feels like. But together they form this surface condition index, and that's the number we use for all of our ranking and prioritizations and for selecting treatments. There is a map that shows the condition of all the roads. Every road was rated, and so each road has you can maybe barely read that scale to the left, but there are very good, fair, poor, those kinds of categories on the left. And so every street is on there. Further, you can go to that map and click on a street and get all the information that we have about that street. I picked Hardware Road just as an example, and you'll see that table pops up when I click on the Hardware Road, and it gives me all the information. You see that there is a button, a slide that we can slide down and get everything that's out there, all the condition information and everything else. So you can look at all your roads. So what did we find? The final thing we found, the surface condition index in your roads was an 84. That's a very high quality. April asked me when we started, how did we compare to other cities and other nations, cities, counties, other places? And that's very good. There's only a couple that I can think of that were as good or better. Now, to be fair, it's skewed a little bit because you have a lot of new subdivisions. So that skews the average up to a little bit higher number. But still, it's a very good number. And we would certainly suggest that you take advantage of this and try and maintain it very well. All right, this slide, okay, so this slide, the things that we want to take out of this slide is that in the gray bar, that is the pavement preservation area. Those roads are in pretty good condition. We'd like to keep them in good condition. It costs us about $2 a square yard to maintain roads in that area. In the brown area, orange area, those roads are in much worse condition, and it costs about $20 a square yard to maintain those. In the bottom, we're having to repair and reconstruct, and now we're in the $40 to $80 a square yard range. So just keep that in mind. Let's look at this graph real quickly. The green areas indicate that we have done some treatment to the road. We've done something. And at that level in the preservation area, what we've done likely is put some sort of a seal coat on there, slurry seal, microsurfacing, something like that. And that's the $2 a square yard. Let's suppose that those treatments last about 7 to 8 years. So let's assume that we had the $2 treatment, a 10,000 square yard road, which is pretty much a typical subdivision road, and it lasts us for 15 years. So we've in total paid $40,000 over time for those treatments. Drop down to the red treatment, and we do an overlay, for example. It lasts us 12 years. The overlay costs us $20 a square yard, same road, $200,000 for that road. You can see that it's very cost effective for us to do as much pavement preservation as we can. And it's kept the road in good condition throughout the entire life of the road. So we want to focus on pavement preservation. It's a little bit easier to see in this slide where these treatments fall. Going from A to B, the street's in very good condition. We might do some of the things at the top, like a slurry seal or fog seal. From B to C, it's a little bit worse. And so we're going to do something like a scrub seal or chip seal, a little more intense treatment. From C to D, it's beginning to really deteriorate. We have now some cracks down in the base. And so we there are going to do some cold plane and minor overlay or some thin overlays. From D to F, the pavement is failed, and we now have to either totally reconstruct or do full depth reclamation. So that's the rate of deterioration of the roads. In Broussard, we have developed this table. We call this our treatment selection logic table. And this treatment selection logic table has the treatment categories for each one of the condition categories. There's a treatment applied. You see in the very good, there's do nothing because those streets are fairly new and in good shape. In the fair, we're doing some minor microsurfacing types of things, and each of those has a cost. The trigger column is when do we do it? When do we do these treatments? And so we do the treatments when they reach between those scales. And then there's a unit cost for those. I'd be happy to go into those things in detail with you at another time, but not right now. We then take all of that information and go back to the condition statement. We know the condition of the road, we know the square foot, the area of the road, and we know the cost. So we can do what we call a needs assessment. Now we calculate the area times the need that was in this treatment table, and we have a needs or summary of everything that needs to be done. That's reflected in this map. But more importantly, in this slide, the takeaway here is that I was told that you would have roughly $1 million for the first year's annual budget. What you see in the key is there under the totals. The green box is labeled Broussard needs, the totals. You have a total of $16.5 million of needs for your roads to bring them up to what I call a state of good repair. Not all the way up to 100, but up to an acceptable level of service. And $1 million budget. So we had to work with that $1 million. Don't let that 16,500,000 scare you, because nobody can ever fix all their roads and bring them all up to a state of good repair. No agency that I have ever worked with had enough money to bring everything up at one time. So you have to do this incrementally over time. Well, let's look at what we're going to do with that million for the first year. There are several different ways of prioritizing how you spend your money. One is called Best First. It is the most cost-effective, but it has you putting the most money into the good roads. Nobody's throwing anything at me yet. It's the most cost effective, but it's one that you could never sell to constituents. You'll always get, well, why are you putting money on good roads when my road is about to fall apart? And so that's not something that we would recommend. The worst first is almost as bad. Worst first is what people would like to have see you do, put your money into the worst roads. But putting money into the worst roads first is kind of like putting money into a bucket with a hole in it. It just keeps flowing out, and you really never catch up. So it is the least cost-effective method for spending your money. What we used here for you is what I call the incremental worst first method. And so we spread a little bit of the money out to each category. And we spread it out to each category. I don't have a pointer, but you can see the column that says percent of needs area. We'll just use fair, for example. Fair, for example, has 30% of the total need, the total area. And so it gets 30% of that $1 million, or roughly 307,000. So we parsed out the budget by category according to the total area in each category. And here's what that looks like. And, oh, you can't see that at all, can you? Well, the orange band, the column with the orange band, the column with the blue band, and the purple band, those are the same colors for the condition categories. And so what I did was to start at the bottom of those condition categories and spend up the 300,000 that was in 307,000 that was in the category, and spend up to there until I ran out of money in that category. And what that does is we get the bottom, we get the worst roads in each category, and they don't fall into the more expensive category the next year. And so this is how it was developed. This is the total work plan. You either have a copy now or you'll get one when it's all over. They have it now. Okay, so you have a copy. This is our draft work plan for the first year. You'll see that it does lean pretty heavily on well, it doesn't lean heavily, that each of them get money according to what their area is. But this is an engineering work plan primarily. It's an economically sound work plan, and it does optimize the amount of money that you have. We're not trying to say that there are not other factors. It does not consider socioeconomic factors. Does it consider socio-political factors? Those are yours to work out. So it could be adjusted and moved around some, but this is our draft to begin with. We know that there are some industrial areas in the town. We have divided roads out by industrial and residential. So it may be that you want to emphasize your priorities more toward one of those or the other. You may have a certain street that maybe has a Mardi Gras parade or something on it, and it's important to you, and you want to keep that in good condition. So that may factor in as well. So those are factors outside the engineering realm. And all of those roads, all of the work plan is also on a map. And you can see it. You really can't see that. I wanted to illustrate a point. For example, the Hardware Road, maybe you know where that is. Up in the northern, no, maybe you help me out. Up in the northwest part, there's a subdivision up there that's got the 3 or 4 little roads. They're all in yellow. Could you have a name for that? Do you have a name for that? Do you have a name for that subdivision, or do you know which one I'm talking about? Anyway, up in the northwest corner up there, there are, I think, 3 or 4 streets selected in the work plan for next year, and there are a couple that are left out. What you might want to do is, after you look at it on the map, say, well, let's do a neighborhood, let's do a whole neighborhood. Sometimes you get better economies of scale by doing a neighborhood approach. The mob and demob cost from the contractor is sometimes less. And so we could delay Hardware Road for a year or 2 because it's already bad. And then another year, it's not going to get that much worse. So you can make some of those kinds of adjustments some practical, common sense adjustments once you start looking at the maps. So the maps are very handy and useful. Okay, the other thing I said we were going to do, and we did, was to extract all these features. Why are all these features important to you? Probably just one reason. We live in an area, we live in a part of the world that we have tropical events, and those tropical events sometimes knock down our signs, tear up other things. And the first thing FEMA wants to know is, what did you have before and what condition was it in? And so now you have a list of all your assets, all your transportation assets, all the ones that are on that, in that box off to the left side. All of those are defined and on maps. This is a map of, what is that? East Michigan or East, it's East something. Okay, so that street, whatever that street is. What we're looking at is the 360 imagery, and circled is the sign and the speed limit sign. And those are all cataloged and again, put on a map. Do I have a map? No, I don't. They're all cataloged and put on a map. Oh yeah, the map is on this slide. They're all categorized, they're all on that map. And just like the street, you can click on each one of those individuals and it tells you where the sign is, what it's made of and how big and that sort of thing. Okay. We're done, but we're not going to just drop it, report in your lap and run away. We have delivered the report and the 5-year plan. What we're continuing to do is we'll do some training. We've been training with some of the Mel staff all along the way. We'll continue that. The mapping company, the company that has the maps, Timmons Group, will be hosting your maps for 5 years. So they will be there available for you and updated for 5 years. When Mel does construction and does work on the streets, he'll send that information to us and those maps will be updated to reflect what was done. That's all I have. If you have more, I'm listening.
Mr. Carl, that was a great report. Thank you. Just to recap some of the highlighted points, I think, the council became interested in trying to find a path that we could follow for best practices as funding gets put towards improving roads and maintaining roads in the city. In the past, we've done the best we could, just sort of picking worst first, I think is the way you described it. I think you definitely delivered what we asked you to, find a way that we can go about it, put a plan together, maintain a good grade on our roads year after year, give us something to shoot for, something that's budgetable. That $1 million a year is doable for us, I believe. I know Mel has been heavily involved. The benefit beyond what I just described for us is that we now have, you've delivered it in a way that we can accept it into our software package where we know where every street sign is in Broussard. You've marked every bridge in Broussard, every road stripe in Broussard. And that'll be valuable to us, no doubt, here or there when events happen to have those things. So now it will be up to us just to sort of follow the plan, tweak the plan as we fund. And we do appreciate your willingness to continue to work with us because some of the things that you are bringing to the table have been done in bigger cities around us.
Yes.
We've never done them before, like chip seal or any kind of sealing of roads. This is fairly new technology. I know Mel went on and did some field trips and looked at it. He was very impressed with that technology, but it'll be different for us to write this level of a bid package for the
Right.
contractors. And there's certain contractors that do certain levels of this work. Then there's your traditional ones. We are also having conversations with some of those larger cities like the city of Lafayette to see if there's ways that we can piggyback with them if we bid at the same time. I mean, the most optimal way, in my opinion, would be to have our bid live when their bid is live, not have to partner with them at all, but make sure when contractors are coming to the table to do work that within the months they'll be here, there's more work for them to try to give better prices. Hopefully we would achieve better prices on some of the newer sealing that we're going to attempt to do. So we appreciate that. We appreciate that effort from you. And lastly, the pricing that you're given, I know you work in a lot of places, not just in this area. You've used average pricing. So it is very possible that we can pick up better pricing by getting good, strong bids in from the local contractors.
Mr. Mayor, what I did was when I put the prices together, you're right. I mean, I've done work, this kind of project for foreign governments, states, other cities across the nation. And so I have a pretty good idea of what pricing in different locations is. But what I've done in the last month or so is to make some phone calls of my own to the local contractors. And part of what we did, and I didn't have a chance really to mention it, but when we set up those treatments for the city of Broussard, I called several of the contractors to see what they could do. It wouldn't do us any good to ask for a hot-in-place recycling and nobody around would be able to do it. So I've called several contractors and talked with them about what they have, what the materials availability is, and also their pricing, what their pricing would be to an agency your size. And so I'm pretty confident those costs are not bid costs, but they're budget costs. They're enough that you can do a practical budget from.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Carl because he really opened my eyes to a different concept. I come from a world where reconstruction and mill and overlay was all that we ever did. And this is a totally new concept to us, but it's a real practical, real, I would say, economical process that Mr. Carl's proposing. He called me to meet him in Lafayette on La Janier Road, and they had just recently done it. And when we got there and I got down and walked on the road, I couldn't tell a difference between an overlay and they had just sealed the road. I thought they had overlaid the road. And, you know, I had to go to the edge and really look at it because it looked that good. This type of process has come a very long way in a short period of time. And I think we're going to get more bang for our buck by doing this process than what we were doing in the past.
Yeah, the process that Mel is describing that on La Janae Road was a scrub seal covered with a microsurfacing. And it's a very, very tough surface. That should last about 12 years, 11 or 12 years, almost as much as an overlay at probably a third of the cost. So it's a very good technique. And there are a number of roads, or a lot of streets in your area, particularly the older downtown area, that would be a great benefit to use that technique. There are others that are good as well, equally good.
The good news is we're getting a good rating. I mean, 8.4, as you said, is a good
That's
rating.
excellent, yes.
So, you know, finding a way to commit to maintaining that rating and over the course of 5 years is doable for us from a budget perspective.
And there's information in the slideshow. We just didn't take time to do it, but there is information in the slideshow that help you understand what the next 5 years are going to look like and what $1 million will do for you, what $1.5 million will do for you, what $4 million a year would do for you.
Well, and no doubt that number will change slightly if we go into a deeper dive of it and do the whole neighborhood, as you mentioned, instead of half the roads, that kind of thing. I'm sure some of those things will make sense if we get to the point to pour through it. Thank you very much.
We're going to continue working with them. And you're right, I didn't say that either. One addition, the data belongs to you. We're going to host it on computers out another place from here, but the data belongs to you, and we will eventually port that over into your system. But you have access to it even now.
Thank you very much. Kelly, do we have any public comment? No public comment? Any further discussions or questions for Mr. Carl? Well, that was the report. There was no action on that item. But the very next item 4.1, is resolution number 857-25, a resolution amending the 2025-2026 operating budget of expenditures for pavement management projects. Do we have a motion to approve? Motion. So Mr. Daniel Hutchinson is our presenter tonight. Just to remind the council, in this year's budget, we have $500,000 in the budget, minus what we paid for this report. So the budget ask would be the additional to get us to that $1 million if we were to move forward with the plan as we had just heard. Welcome, Daniel.
Good evening, Council. Yes, this is to amend the budget to get to the $1 million that Mr. Carr had recommended in that. Once we get this done, we'll proceed with the work plan. We'll proceed with the work plan and start finalizing streets and all of that and seeing which streets work out and start, and proceed with getting bid packages ready. We will get with Lafayette to see when they're planning on going, and we'll get the specs together because this is some new technology. So we're going to we're going to write some new specs and all that and get some bid packages ready.
So approved by the council tonight would be funding to allow Mr. Carl and Como Engineering to take the next step in getting the program live for us. Public comment?
No public comment.
Council questions or discussion?
What kind of numbers are we talking about? There's no numbers on this agenda. It's in the resolution. So it's 600 total.
We already have 400 in the budget. 600 will be the additional.
Amendments.
The amendment, yes, sir. Bring it up to the $1 million total that was, Mr. Carl was describing for this budget.
District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5,
Yes.
District 6,
Yay.
at large. District 1,
Yes.
motion approved.
Item 4.2, resolution number 855-25, a resolution accepting the bid for St. Julian Sports Complex parking lot and inline retention. Do we have a motion to approve?
Second.
Our presenter tonight is Mr. Grayson from Como Engineering. Welcome.
How's it going, council? On April 9th, earlier, a month ago, we opened bids for this project, basically all the civil site work, including the pond, parking lot, drainage work. We had 6 companies come in and give bids for that project. Construction cost estimate was set at 1.6 million, and the cost came back at 1,355,000 and some change, roughly about 245,000 under the construction estimate. The winner for that project is Maverick Constructors out of Opelousas. So we're here today to basically award that contractor the project to move forward on it.
So the 1.3 is gonna be the parking lot grounds?
The parking lot, the asphalt parking lot, all of the drainage underneath, and then the pond across the street.
Stockpile dirt for later use?
And then it'll all be stockpiled throughout the site.
Some of the dirt is being lost through the site also, right, to bring up lower
So all the
areas?
dirt's gonna be used within the site for what we need to fill, and then all the extra dirt that isn't usable, isn't structural, doesn't have any structural capacity to it, is gonna be stockpiled on the side, and city could use it for fill dirt somewhere else, however they want.
Public comment, Kelly?
No public comment.
Council discussion?
Question.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5,
Yes.
District 6,
Yay.
at large.
Yeah.
District 1,
Yes.
District 2,
Yes.
motion approved.
So I spoke to Daniel about the timeline on this earlier today. So we would expect around sometime in December, maybe early December, we'd actually have dirt being kicked up on the project. You know, just rough timeline right now after awarding and letting the contractor mobilize. And Jamie's going to work with his team to make sure expectations are met as far as disturbances at the park. That was the last item on the agenda. Thank you all for being here tonight. We appreciate it. Please drive safely. Meeting adjourned.